Hi guys, what's up? It's Perlin here again, and today I'm joined by Hugh Bayati, and he's a personal growth coach and teacher and speaker as well. And he's going to be talking about personal development, and we're going to be relating to travel and how you can use personal growth and personal development and the techniques and tips in that to be able to apply it to travel so you can have more fun experiences while traveling. You can meet more people because you'll have that much more confidence. You'll also be able to, get yourself together before travel if you're struggling to maybe save money or have some time management to book all of the flights and things like that. We'll be discussing all of these types of topics and more. So it should be an awesome interview. So, Hugh, thank you for joining us and giving us your time. Can you just give a quick background about yourself and what type of things you're teaching at the moment?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me, Perlin. I appreciate your time as well. So basically, I'm from Auckland, New Zealand. My background is in account management, and I was doing that as a 9 to 5 job for many years. I was actually a national account manager in New Zealand, and I was also in the property investment game. But I was always interested in personal development since I was a child. Actually, when I was 8 years old, I remember waking up at like 2 a.m. And you know, when you wake up when you're a kid and you're just excited, you wake up in the middle of the night. And I
Yeah,
remember going to the TV and I switched it on, and then Tony Robbins infomercial came on when I was 8.
nice.
And it's funny because as a kid, as weird as this sounds, I used to actually enjoy watching infomercials. So
Yeah,
I started watching this Tony Robbins guy, and when I was 8, I was actually even back then I was like skeptical. I was like, "What's this positive thinking, motivation, BS kind of stuff?"
mhm,
But I remember I watched it about 5 times, and that really just got my appetite for personal development. And then later on, as the years went by, after high school, during university, and afterwards, I just started reading a lot of books in the area and continued to read and listen to programs and go to seminars. And that's what's fueled my hunger to be a personal growth coach and quit my job and do that full time, do it for myself and travel at the same time.
awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
And so now you've had like the experience of helping lots of people one on one and helping them get through their problems and their sticking points to create a better lifestyle. Is that right?
Correct. That's true.
Awesome.
People, I mean, they have the same common kind of challenges, and it's really gratifying to be able to serve people in that way and give them those strategies.
Yeah, yeah, I've definitely found the same thing that it seems to be there's like some universal areas and universal problems that everyone has that they usually need help getting past, and
Sure.
it's always very satisfying to be able to get someone past these different sticking points, and then just see their
Exactly.
progress just dramatically skyrocket because they've just had this one thing that was holding them back for so many years, and they just need a little bit of help to get past it, and then their
Yeah.
life is dramatically improved because that was like sort of the bottleneck for their success type thing.
That's
So
exactly it.
yeah,
That's
that's
exactly it. It's actually amazing. Like I got an email the other day, exactly what you're saying, and someone was just telling me, "Thank you for rekindling my passion," and all that. And I said, "Look, thank you. I mean, I didn't. I just really asked you a few questions, and I kind of sparked that in you. You're the one that did it, because people usually actually do it themselves.
hmm
We're more just the catalyst to just kind of spark that little fire inside of them, and then it just comes out, which is
yeah,
amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
yeah, and it definitely seems to be more about bringing that knowledge out from within them and getting them comfortable and being able to express themselves in different ways rather than like
Exactly.
putting knowledge in. It's like more about drawing knowledge out of them, which I found was yeah, it was very counterintuitive when I sort of figured that out just by
Mm,
talking to people and helping people out. And yeah, so it's just about them having the belief that they can achieve the different things. And once they have that, then everything seems to flow for them.
exactly.
Because even if they don't have the technical knowledge, then they can just find that very easily. And especially with the internet these days, like there's knowledge about everything you can imagine. So it's really coming down to implementing more than trying to gain the actual knowledge, which is
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, it's very important. So you said you were doing a 9 to 5 job and you wanted to get out of that and you wanted to travel the world and you wanted to experience different cultures. How did you
Mm.
make that progression from the 9 to 5 job to building your lifestyle to what you want to be living every single day?
Honestly, Perlin, it was really the concept of time that got to me. The most valuable thing or the most valuable opportunity on earth that, ends at the end of each day is time. And I figured your time is limited. And it wasn't like a scary thought. It was more of my time is limited. Why not do it? Why not do what I want to do? Why not live my dream? Why not set goals and achieve them? Do I really have to be in this job? Do I really have to be? Or was that just something that everyone else is doing and I just went by and followed what culture told me to do? Again, it's not, for some people that is the right thing, but really ask yourself, what is my time? Is my time valuable or not? And that was, it really started from that. It's just, it was more of a time, like, what am I spending my time doing? And I started with that question. And then I just thought, I have to do this. The time is right. And it was also instinctual and as well, more like a bit of intuition as well. It felt right when I was saying that. And I felt empowered when I said that. I know it sounds different when you say you felt empowered, but sometimes when you ask yourself an effective question, you're going to get an amazing answer if you just sit with yourself and think about your time, think about you.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
definitely very good advice.
Yeah.
And yeah, I found that if you ask yourself better questions, you'll get better answers, type thing. So, like, if just every day you're saying like, oh, why am I so unlucky, or why do I have this shitty job, or why did this bad thing happen to me in the past?
Mm.
Because you just keep thinking about those negative thoughts and negative things, and they'll just be the predominant thoughts, which means they'll be the predominant actions and stuff you'll take. But instead, if you say, well, it's okay to notice what you don't like because that'll give you contrast to what you do like and what you do want to achieve. But it's very important to make that transition. So you notice what you don't like, and then you say, well, how can I get a better job? Or how can I create my own business so I can work for myself? Or how can I save money to travel? Or how can I create a business so I can make money while I'm traveling? And so once you
Absolutely.
ask these questions, then you start thinking, oh, okay, I might research that a bit, and then you might research it and find it's super easy, or you might actually live that lifestyle for a while and decide it's not quite for you, and you want to go at a slower pace, or you want to try something
Mm.
different. But you'll be experiencing and learning through your experience rather than just taking someone else's word for it, or just guessing like, oh, it probably wouldn't work if I did that, so I'll just not try it at all, type thing. Um,
Exactly.
so yeah.
I like that. Yeah, asking yourself the right question. And yeah, that was, when I asked myself, what am I doing with my time? But then I went on to say, well, what can I do with my time that's going to be fun and effective and where I can give back to people? Or where, how can I be true to myself? What is the ideal situation for me to be true to myself and enjoy the process? And then for me personally, I realized it was coaching. That was me being true to myself as well. I could give back, and you can, like you said, with the internet, you can do
Yeah.
anything these days. And that's what the beauty of, the 21st century we're in, that we got to take full advantage of it. We can travel the world and make money.
Yeah.
That's actually got to be, like, if they looked back on this 50 years ago, they'd be laughing if we told them that.
I know, and it's crazy because it's so new. Like
Exactly.
the internet itself is relatively new, and then just the expansion that it's had in terms of the information available, plus the speed of the internet these days. So you can go anywhere. Like I'm in Thailand right now, and there's high speed internet, and you can. But it seems like everyone's still kind of stuck in the same routine or pattern of lifestyle that was prominent in the past, but hasn't progressed into really utilizing these tools, especially on the internet, that are available today. So
True.
people seem to, I talk to a lot of people and I tell them about what I do, and I travel around and I have all these different adventures. And they're like, oh, I don't know how you do that. I could never do that because, I've got a car and I've got bills to pay, and I've got a job and I don't want to lose it. And I've gone to university and I've got a certificate, but I'm, $100,000 in debt now and I've got to pay that off. And so they feel very trapped and very stuck in the situation they're in. And I'm saying to them like, it's not expensive to travel, like, it's not
Yeah.
expensive to get into online business as well. Like the capital that you need is very low, and yeah, and I just find that a lot of people are sort of stuck in this old thinking mindset.
Mm.
how or what kind of advice would you give to those type of people which haven't experienced traveling on the road or working on the road, but they're kind of curious about it, but then they just don't believe that it's possible for them. They might think it's possible for someone else, but not quite possible for them. What would you say to them as like the first steps to do to try and prove it to themselves that it is possible?
Mm. That's a good question. So I'll start with this. Every master was once a disaster. Every person that did something, it's not like Steve Jobs was straight away the greatest. He had to go through his obstacles. You see someone who's, bodybuilder, they weren't born a bodybuilder. They had to go through the steps. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not an overnight thing, but it is something you can start. You can start somewhere. You can start by planning. You can start by just writing down, okay, what do I want to do? Okay, I do want to travel the world and I want to make it. Okay, how can I do that? Okay, maybe I should dedicate half an hour a day to figuring out how I can make some extra income online. And how much does it cost to do that? Sometimes it just literally takes just a little bit of due diligence and research because so many people are doing it. There is obviously a formula. You just need to go and find that formula. And we have Google these days. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing. You just go online, you just type it, and there's like 1,000,001 blogs, 1,000,000 YouTube channels that you can go and search. So that's where personally that's where I would start. I'd start by asking yourself those questions, sitting down. Look, I know we all, I mean, I'm guilty of this as well. Where we scroll through our home Facebook page or our Twitter feed or our YouTube channel. Just take half an hour off and just focus on that. Just ask yourself a question: how can I make money online, or how can I make money on the side so that I can travel in the future? And then go and research it, and you'll be surprised to find how many people are doing it and how straightforward it is. To be frank with you, everything has challenges. Just like nothing is promised to you. Nothing comes easy. But it's the same challenge as having a job. It's the same challenge as going to the gym and trying to build a body. It's the same challenge as having a relationship. So I would start from there. And in regards to traveling, it is actually cheaper than you think because most people that start out they go to Southeast Asia because it's so cheap here.
Mm.
And like you said, it's high. Like right now, I'm in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and you're in Thailand as well, and
Yeah.
we've both got high speed internet. And it's cost very low, and the meals are very low. So if you actually do the research, you'll realize it's really cheap to do it.
Yeah.
Just book a ticket and go.
And
It's
and
that's
it's
ex-
it's
yeah,
crazy because it's like so much cheaper than living in Australia or New Zealand. Like so
exactly.
the price for me living in Australia for a month is fairly high because I've got car expenses and I've got rent and food and everything's pretty expensive. And you come over to somewhere like Thailand, and I'm living in a place with a pool and two-story house and living with friends and eating out and going on different adventures to different islands. Like this is a very
Yeah,
sort of upscale lifestyle I'm living at the moment, and it's costing me less than just the standard lifestyle in Australia.
exactly.
And so
Exactly.
you can get so much value for your money if you travel. That yeah, that it's like for me, it's
There's
always been a very simple choice. I'm like, oh wow, this is awesome, and it's super fun because you get to live in other
there's
places and you get to experience the different cultures and things like that, and you're not stuck in a daily routine.
yeah,
And so I want to ask you about values because I've
yes,
found that if people have values, then they know what to put in front of other things, which really helps in terms of time management. Because I've noticed with myself and with people that I talk to, if we don't have any sort of clear values or clear goals that we're working towards when it comes to maybe saving money, then I might be like, oh yeah, I want to travel in the future sometime, but I'm not really sure when. But right now, I want to go to the movies, or I want to go out to dinner to this expensive restaurant, or I'd rather have a little bit more of an upscale lifestyle now. But if like I buy a ticket traveling, and then I'm like, wow, there's like a deadline, a date when I'm going. So every dollar that I spend now is a dollar I don't have when I'm traveling. Then the
yeah,
the value of saving money for travel just goes way up because there's like a deadline, and also it's my highest priority. So just everything gets put towards that. So I found that when people have clear values, then
yeah,
all of their effort and energy and resources go towards that value very easily. But when everything's just sort of spread around and undefined, then all of your resources and time just get spread amongst
Mm,
those things, and you become very inefficient. So,
exactly.
do you have any techniques that you use or you teach people of how to create values for themselves?
Yes, so I just want to go to this. I like this conversation because it directly links with how motivated you are. Like you said, are you more motivated to go spend the money in the expensive restaurant or to go and, save up for a ticket to travel?
Mhm.
So I always like to dissect words. So when you go find out what the word motivation is or where it comes from the word motive. So when a judge says, what was that, victim's motive, or what was that, person's motive for doing that act? So you got to understand what is your motive? Why do you want to go to an expensive restaurant as opposed to save for a trip, or decide to design your life? You've got to have a really strong motive to want to do something. And what happens is usually in the moment, in the moment when we're about to go out and go, to an expensive restaurant, we usually focus on how good it's going to feel to eat at that restaurant, or how we're going to look entering, or the way we sit and laugh and selfies or whatever. If we focus on the motive behind why traveling is more important, then we'll be able to realize what is more important. Is it traveling and designing my life, or is it eating at this fancy restaurant for what 2 hours? But then I'll waste $50. It's having really a strong motive. So that's what I always do with clients. I say, okay, this is your goal. Okay, that's great. This is your goal. Why do you want it? Anyone could write down a goal that says I want $1 million. Anyone can say I want the perfect body. Anyone can say I want the perfect relationship. But what is your motive behind it? Why? Why do you want it? And not just why in terms of like, oh, I want $1 million so I can be rich, or I want to buy a yacht. That's great. But what's going to push you is your emotions, because we're all like, as much as we like to think we're logical, which we are, emotions always take over. We're emotional beings, whether we want, especially men, whether we want to admit it or not, we're emotional beings. So use it to your advantage. Be proactive about it. Just like how you're proactive about booking that expensive restaurant, if you're actually proactive about your motive behind why you got to reach the goal, and finding out emotionally how that's going to make you feel, you're going to get much better results. And if you do that and then you apply that strategy daily, and what I mean is by reading it every day, just like you'd wake up, brush your teeth every day, shower every day, read your goals and why you got to achieve them. Do that every day as a routine. You're going to get some massive changes.
Yeah.
So that's what I do with every client. I try and put emotion behind their goal rather than just, oh, I want to lose weight, or I want $1 million, or I want to travel. Always put emotion behind it.
Yep. 100%
Yeah.
agree. I do that myself. I've got like I've got different things that I want to achieve or different things that I want to do, and I write it down on my computer, and I try and get in a lot of detail, because the more detail you can do, then the more emotion you can feel when you're reading through it. And so like I've got like I call it my perfect day, and so I've got
Good.
this perfect day in my mind where I'm like, oh, to wake up doing this, and I'll wake up and I'll do this and I'll do that, and I'll go surfing, I'm on this tropical island and things like that, and I write it out very detailed, so I can just get into it every day, and not only is it you're imagining it every single day,
Mm,
which, if you believe in the power of attraction and things like that, then that's a very
awesome.
powerful thing. But also, it's just fun to do that. So it puts you in a good mood for the day, because you're like,
Mm,
yeah, and I'm like, this lifestyle is what I'm working towards. So, and it also
absolutely.
keeps you on track. So you might think like, I want to go traveling and live on on an island in Thailand somewhere. So you think, oh, maybe I need lots of money to do that. So then, without researching it, so then you're like, oh, well, I just need to make money. So then you get distracted by like just making money, and you get
Yeah.
wound up in that, and you're realizing that the only reason that you want to make the money is so you can live on an island in Thailand. But it maybe if you
Mm,
research, you'll find that you really don't need that much, or you can work on there
mm,
and live there at the same time. And so
absolutely.
it keeps you on track. And
Absolutely.
one fun thing that I do is, because I read a lot of books on my Kindle, so I write out my perfect day as a PDF
Cool.
and then save it to my Kindle, and so it's like always available to just like flick through whenever I want. So that's a
I
it's,
love
it's, a,
it.
it's a little fun tip if people want to
Nice.
do that.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I just want to add to that, Paul, and I really
Mm.
like it what you do, like the perfect day, as in planning what your perfect day, with the whole visualization. it's great to visualize and take action on your visualizations. But if we take an example from the past, I like to use Steve Jobs because he's one of the most comprehensive figures. If you actually watch interviews from him, I think I think it's the 80s, I don't remember exactly which date, he was talking about the iPad. He was saying that is the future of Apple. He already envisioned it. So he visualized where the company was going. Now, I'm not saying you need to visualize your whole life. I mean, okay, that is, you can't probably do that in one sit down, but just like Perlin, you were saying, if you visualize what you want your outcome to be, what you want the next year to be like, or what you want the next month to be like, and then you take the action to go get there, it's much stronger because then you embody it, you embody the visual, you feel the visualization, because then you see, is this a goal I really want? That's one of the other things I do with clients. I say, is this a goal you really want? Or are you just doing this because it's cool to say I want $1 million?
Yeah.
Is this a goal you really want? And visualization helps, because if you visualize you being that person that has achieved that goal, do you like what you're seeing? Is that what you want to do? Is that what you want to feel? Again, being proactive about what you want to do rather than being reactive.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah. It's definitely, if someone's trying, their hardest to achieve so they can please someone else, then it's not the same as trying to achieve because you want to please yourself and you know exactly what you want. But if you're trying to achieve this thing so maybe you can make your spouse happy or your parents or just people around you, like society, then
Yeah.
one, you're going against what you might really want, but also you're not them, so you don't really know exactly what they want. So you might spend all of this time and effort to become this image which you think people want to see, but because maybe it isn't your true self, then people might just reject it and you might not get the validation that you're after by following
Sure.
that path. So
Sure.
it's definitely important to figure out your values in terms of what you want personally, and then try and achieve that, and then share that with the world and share that with the people around you, and you'll be surprised about how accepting people are of someone who is comfortable in their own skin and expressing that without apology or without worrying about what other people think.
Absolutely. Agreed.
So earlier you were saying that people have a lot of fears and limiting beliefs that are very global and very common with all the different people that you work with. Could you name a few of those major things that most people have and the few steps that you would recommend for people to get past those main issues?
Yeah, sure. So one of the main ones is, well, what if I fail? Well, what if it doesn't work out? Or one that I've seen lately is, well, who's going to want to buy my product? You know, as an example for someone who wants to, that's trying to get out of the 9 to 5 and travel and do the online business.
Yeah.
So what's happening in that sense is, with the limiting belief, is if you just dissect it, it's a statement that someone makes about themselves because there's some sort of, something to do with, them internally and their self-value. Them as a person, if them as a person is obviously valuable. So what I usually do is I do the opposite. I say, okay, so if that's your limiting belief, then what would be a strong belief that you can obtain that's going to make you to take that next level? And what is it going to be the cost to you if you keep thinking this way? So if you keep thinking, what if I fail? What is that going to actually cost you? What is that going to do to you? So in fact, you flip it around. So in fact, you use limiting beliefs to its advantage. You say, okay, fine, have a limiting belief, but what is it actually going to cost you? With every action, there's a reaction. We tend to forget that. If you keep eating a lot of chocolate cake at night before you sleep, you are going to gain weight. It's going to taste amazing, but you're going to gain weight. That's one form. If you keep repeating a limiting belief, there's going to be a reaction to it. So what you want to do is you want to just straight away over-empower it. And you over-empower it by asking what it's going to cost you if you keep thinking that way. And that, again, you need to, once you write that down, I get my clients to write that down logically as well, and I get them to also visualize it as well. What's it going to cost you? How are you going to feel if you keep thinking this way? What is it going to cost you in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? How's it going to cost the people around you, your girlfriend, boyfriend, family? Just really make it, use it to your advantage. Use words to your advantage. Just like you've already said a limiting belief, use the same method, the same strategy, but to your advantage. So that's what I always do with clients. I get them to focus, because in the moment when they say a limiting belief, they're focusing on that. They're focusing on, what if I fail? And then that gives them the answer of, well, okay, because you're dumb, because you're stupid. You start getting, because
Yeah.
the brain's intelligent. The brain will answer any question you give it. So if you ask, well, what is it going to cost me if I keep thinking this way? You're going to come up with some very creative answers that's going to push you to take it to the next level.
And your brain always
So
answers is the thing.
it
So
does.
like if you ask it a question, it'll just come up with an answer. So if you ask, why am I so stupid? It's going to try and come up with some answer of why you're so stupid. If you say,
So,
how can I travel more? It's going to come up with some answer, and it might not be the best
absolutely.
answer, but if you keep asking that, you'll keep getting answers, and the
Mm,
knowledge will come to you. But you've
mm,
got to be asking the right type of questions, because otherwise
absolutely.
you get into a spiral, and you can go spiraling down or you can go spiraling up. But it's up to you.
Exactly. And that's the thing. After I get them to write it, then I get them to say, okay, so what would be an empowering belief that will get you out of bed? And again, it's not, sometimes it's the total opposite of the limiting belief, but something that's going to empower you and give you energy and give you, again, we're emotional creatures. So, if you remember some of your best moments in your life, if you actually go and just think about it now, you realize you were in a very high emotional state. You were either very happy, very sad, or very motivated. It depends what it is. So use that to your advantage. Put yourself in a high emotion. How is it going to make me feel if I do this? How's it going to make me feel if I, let go of the fear of failure and become empowered and go after my dreams? And if you add emotion to that, it's amazing what'll happen. Because I just want to give an example. When I'm in Thailand here, and you see some parents that are working 18-hour days here, like Thai people, you see that are working long hours every day. Now, I know this is it's probably not the example that it's not the same as what you're living, but if you actually ask that person and you ask him, you say, okay, so why are you working 18-hour days? His reason for working that is much stronger than his reason for not working that. He's got emotion behind it. Say, I need to feed my family. That's it. I need to feed my family. There is nothing else. So you see, when you speak to someone like that, they've got so much emotion behind it, so much sincerity behind that reason why they want to work.
Yeah.
So that's the same strategy I use. I use that exact same strategy on my clients I have that have limiting beliefs. What's it really going to cost you if you don't overcome this? What is it going to cost you if you don't do this? And then how's it going to make you feel if you do it? If you do the opposite. So it's important to add emotion to your reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's very good. And I've also found that with people that I talk to, it seems to be like there's sort of two types of people. Like some people are just
Yeah.
really afraid of the bad thing, so they're running from it. So like they're running away
Yeah.
from being poor, or they're running away from this bad experience that they want to, which drives them to success. Can be very powerful. And the other one is like the carrot instead of the stick. So like it's like
Yeah.
the glory that they're chasing, and they're like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that, and it's like trying to achieve that is their motivation.
Mm.
And then there's sort of a spectrum. So, but it's and you can have both. You can have, well, I really don't like this, so I'd rather move into this, and then you define your dream lifestyle or your dream day, and then and then that's the thing you can motivate yourself towards as well. And
So,
so it can be good to have both, because
mm,
moving away from something negative is very powerful, because like people don't like feeling pain, so they move away from
sure.
that. But it's also very good to have a positive picture or vision that you're working towards as well, just so you can stay in a positive mindset, so you're not sort of maybe living in fear type thing, even though you're achieving a lot of success. If you're moving towards something that you really want, it can keep you in a positive day-to-day feeling.
Absolutely. Actually, you're right. And actually, neuroscientists prove this. They prove that if you want to motivate someone short term, you talk about like the negatives, what it's going to cost you if you don't do it. But if you want to motivate someone long term or yourself, you think about the positives. Or you talk about the positives of what's going to happen if you gain this goal.
Yeah.
So if you want to be motivated in the short term, you're thinking about your job. Should I quit? Should I not? Should I? Think about what it's going to cost you straight away. What is it going to cost you if you keep living this job? What is it going to cost you if you keep living this lifestyle? And then after it, talk about the positives of, why you should quit your job and how that's going to make you feel, who you're going to become, how true to yourself you're going to be, etc.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's
Yeah.
reminds me of a quote by Brian Tracy where he says
Yeah.
that the time is going to
Interesting.
pass anyway. Like,
Mm.
in 10 years, 10 years is going to be past. So if you stay in your job and you stay in your lifestyle that you want, that you're living at the moment, and you don't change, like if you don't change anything, in 10 years, nothing's going to be different. Like it's going to be the same. But if you, try now to, design your lifestyle the way you want it, and maybe if you want to travel or if you want to work for yourself, you may like fail in the first couple of months or 6 months or year or something, and then you might get super successful. And but in 10 years, you're going to be absolutely successful. If you stick at something for 10 years, you're going to get there. And so it's when you draw out the timeline, then it always seems to outweigh any bad with the good. So if you just look at it as in like the next 6 months and you're like, well, I don't want to do this because, my income might not be as steady, or, I might be afraid. So it's going to be a little bit painful in this first bit. So I'm not going to do it. But if you extend out to say 10 years, well, then of course you're going to do it, because the value that you'll get is so much bigger than any short-term pain that you'll experience. So yeah, it definitely
So,
reminds me of that long-term thinking.
okay. Yeah, good one on Brian Tracy. He's a classic. I mean, he's a master at this topic.
Is like the classic.
Yeah, he is.
So good.
I like it.
Wicked. All right. So the last thing I want to talk about is daily rituals. Could you go
Yes.
through if you have any morning rituals or daily rituals that you do that
Yeah.
helps you be successful every day? And then
Yes.
maybe talk about if you could choose like just a few, maybe, two or three that other people should start doing immediately if they don't really have any daily rituals. What are the most important to create a good lifestyle?
Absolutely. I love this conversation. So I follow what Robin Sharma. If you haven't heard of him, go check him out. He's got a
Okay.
YouTube video called the 5 a.m. Club. Anyway, he's a very popular and a very results orientated personal development guru.
Yep.
So I follow his one, which is the 5 a.m. Club. Now, I don't wake up at 5 a.m. every day, to be frank with you. Actually, I haven't for a long time. I try to wake up early, but even if I do wake up late, I still follow this ritual as much as I can.
Yep.
So, first of all, as soon as you get out of bed, remember when you wake up, usually you're getting out of that tired state. So you want to get out of that straight away. You want to move. You want to move your body. So for me, I do, whatever exercise that you're into. It could be gym, it could be run. I either do yoga or just stretching or just go out for a walk or a run for at least 20 minutes. Okay, just to change my state, just to change that tiredness of waking up. Okay, then 20 minutes after that, I sit down, I read my main goals, and then I write down my list for the day. What am I going to do today that's going to get me closer to my goals? Okay, now that may take about 20 minutes. If I have time, I might do a little bit of a visualization, like visualize how the day's going to go. Again, you want to have a vision for how your day's going to go. You want to plan for it to go well. Even if challenges come up, you'll be mentally tough because you've read your goals, you know what your outcome is. So visualize it anyway. That's what I do. And then the last 20 minutes is learn. So the time that you wake up is like the optimum time, especially early in the morning, and that's when your brain can get before you sleep and when you wake up is the time when you can get as much learnings in as possible. And also it's before the day starts, so you haven't read emails yet, or hopefully you haven't checked your phone yet. You haven't seen your Facebook feed or your Twitter feed or Instagram. So it's the optimum time. You've just woken up, you're fresh, you've just exercised, you've just read your goals, you're motivated. You go and read or learn. So read or audio book or watch a video that's going to motivate you or whatever. It could just be general knowledge, something you want to read about geography or history. It doesn't have to be personal development. It's just something that's going to stimulate your brain. I sometimes like just read history. Sometimes you want to read about something different just to kind of stimulate your brain, and also just common knowledge. It's for me personally, it's interesting. So that's the ritual I try and do. Look, it doesn't always work out. So there's some days when I'd wake up and I'd try my best to do the yoga, even if it's just for 10 minutes, and then definitely write my to-do list and definitely read something. So those are a must.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, so if you could pick three of the most important things, would it be, say, exercise, learn,
Yeah.
so maybe reading, and what would you think would be the third most important one would be?
Well, it's the same. It's just planning your day, because if you think again,
Gotcha.
it's the first thing that we talked about before is time. Time is an opportunity, and it's the most expensive thing on earth. People think money is worth something. No, it's your time.
Yeah.
So you got to plan your time. At the end of the day, when you go to sleep at night, if you had a productive day and you've done something to get closer to your goal, you're going to be happy. If you had a productive day, you're going to be happy. There is days when we are lazy, and it's fun in the moment when we watch like 8 episodes of Game of Thrones or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But and it's fine. I do it sometimes as well. But if you've had a productive day that's going to get you closer to your goals, you feel so much happier when you go to sleep. Because if you actually think about the day, like, what did I do today? I actually did stuff to get closer to my goal, and it makes you happy. So the to-do list is, I would actually say the to-do list is number one.
Awesome.
I'd say, and not to-do list as in I gotta pay this bill, I gotta that. I'm not talking about that. That's just the things you have to do. I'm talking about the to-do list that's gonna get you closer to your goal. That's what I mean by it. So I'd say that's number one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a very similar routine as well, where I actually do my to-do list, or it's more like my today like daily to-do list the night before,
Oh,
which I've found, like, sometimes I've got some problem that I've got to do the next day. When I'm writing it the night before, I'll wake up and I'll think of an answer. So it's something about my subconscious gets to sort of dwell on the problem overnight. But yeah, I wake up, I go straight out, I do some stretches. I usually go for like a 20-minute walk while listening to an audiobook. I come back, I read for another 20 minutes on just like my Kindle or a physical book. And then I try and have a very healthy breakfast, and to start the day off well, while looking at like an educational YouTube channel or something like that. And yeah, so it's I find it very helpful to try and get the learning in the beginning of the day. And one thing that I would definitely recommend for people, especially if they're starting out creating habits, is to do them in the morning, because they might think, oh, well, actually, I've got more free time in the end of the day, or when I come back from work, so maybe I can do some reading then. But you have a limited amount of willpower every day, and if you wait until the end of the day to try and do something new or try and develop a new habit, usually it won't happen, because your willpower reserves have been depleted throughout the day, and you've spent it on making decisions like, where should I park the car, or what should I do now, or just like little things all through the day. So by the end of the day, you're mentally exhausted, and when you're building a new habit, it takes a lot of willpower and focus to do it every day. And so that's why I highly recommend for people to do it in the morning, because they're fresh and it's the first thing they do. And also, people seem to have routines in the morning, if they are conscious of it or not. They seem to be doing roughly the same thing every day in the morning. So it's already kind of scripted. So if you can script that out with thought behind it, and instead you do your reading and you do all these type of things, then your body naturally goes into that system. So when you wake up, you just go into it, and you don't have to think about it. You don't have to think at the end of the day, oh yeah, that's right, I'm developing reading, so I'm going to read something now. You automatically go into that. That's
I
definitely
agree.
a tip. Keep it in the morning.
Absolutely, in the morning. That's the one.
Awesome, Hugh. This has been an amazing interview and discussion. Thank you very much for your time. I know you're probably very busy. And
Oh,
if people want to get in contact with you or find out more about the material or your teachings, where can they go to find that information?
well, they can first go to my blog. It's called successenergy.com. Energy is with an I at the end, not a Y.
Yep.
And all in there is my blog. I have, I do videos at least twice a week and blog posts, and I talk about all sorts of topics to do with personal development, to do with higher consciousness, and just to do with how the mind really works and how to actually get the most out of it. And I like to give people strategies. I don't like to just give people a positive thinking or motivation speech, although that is effective, but it's only effective up to a certain level. So I like to give people strategies. So if you're into strategies that they're actually going to apply and use and get results, then I have that on my website. And in there is all my, my coaching and my speaking, and also my social media if you want to get in touch there.
Awesome. So that's all available on your website.
Successenergy.com, energy with I.
Nice. And if anyone wants to find out more about my material, most of my material is on YouTube, and my YouTube channel is Perlin Earth. And you can also find me at Facebook, which is Facebook/Perlin's Adventure Blog. And I'll put all of these links down the bottom for people to find. Cool. All right. Thank you very much, Hugh. This was a great discussion, and I look forward to speaking to you in the future.
Look, thank you for having me. I appreciate your time as well, and thank you for listening.
No worries. All right. Thanks.
Have a good day.
Bye.
See ya.